I'll just give you a quick overview of the current situation, and then I'll hand over to the other speakers. You'll be aware that there was a state of emergency declared for the Canterbury region yesterday. That still remains in place, and that was to support our coordinated effort to respond to this emergency. The red weather warning remains in place until 4 p.m. today for Christchurch and the Canterbury Plains. We have experienced severe gale nor'wests over the region, with gusts reaching up to 180 kilometres per hour, and in a couple of places even faster. The event has unfolded as predicted by the Met Service, and we currently have significant power outages across the region, particularly in North Canterbury. Damage to the roading network due to fallen trees and downed power lines, and many rural properties in North Canterbury have received damage to building and infrastructure. I want to recognise the impact this weather has had and is continuing to have on some of our community members, particularly in North Canterbury and in our alpine areas. Conditions today have been dangerous and unpredictable. Please continue to avoid non-essential travel. With the weather improving tomorrow, you should be able to continue with your long weekends as long as we've been able to safely reopen roads. I want to reiterate, it's going to take time to make roads safe with the amount of power lines and trees that have fallen on them. Just a reminder, if you lose communications, please tune into your local radio station to get information. And remember, never touch or move debris near downed power lines. They can become live at any time. In our alpine catchments, heavy rain does continue to fall, and our alpine rivers are continuing to rapidly rise. We ask people to stay clear of the riverbeds, but we do not expect any river outbreaks, but we've still got to be prepared for it. Please take these warnings seriously. As we've seen today, things do quickly change, and please be informed. I'd like to now pass over to Minister Mitchell.
Yeah, thanks, James. Well, I think James has done a very good job of covering off what they've had to deal with today. We've all seen that there's been, with these weather events and particularly with the high winds, covering actually most of the South Island, there's been multiple calls for assistance. And I want to acknowledge James and his team, the Civil Defence team here in Christchurch, who have done an outstanding job of coordinating the other EOCs around the other 10 councils that decided that they would call the state of emergency. I want to acknowledge Brad and Tony, our FENS and our police officers. It was unusual the way that we called the state of emergency because we've just been through local government elections, and you have got mayor-elects that have not been sworn in, and normally it is them that would sign the declaration to put into a state of emergency. In this case, it was actually FENS and police that recognised very early on yesterday that with these wind conditions coming, the fact that we had multiple fire grounds that FENS were having to deal with, there was a risk of putting strain on resources, and so they were fully supported by the mayor-elects, by the chief executives and the CDEM controllers to come to me and say, we need to go. I played an administrative role in putting us into that state of emergency. Without a doubt, that has proven to be the right decision. I want to acknowledge FENS and police for their planning, for the pre-positioning of their staff and resources, and today that has played out and it has paid real dividends in terms of the response and making sure that communities are kept as safe and as informed as possible as the day has rolled out. And finally, again, I just want to come back to James and his team and acknowledge them for the outstanding work that they've done, and the wider Civil Defence team throughout the whole region that's been working really hard today to deal with some unpredictable conditions, and like I said, lots of different incidents that have been having to be dealt with throughout the day. We're in a really good space. Without a doubt, the response has been very good. We're not through it yet. There are still things happening, but I anticipate by the end of the day, most of those would have been dealt with and resolved. So with that, I'll hand maybe over to you, Brad.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Minister.
Thank you, James. Kia ora koutou katoa.
This has been an incredibly challenging day for our people out there responding to incidents in very, very hazardous conditions. Firefighters, ambulance staff, police and other essential services going out in these types of conditions should be commended for their efforts. So thank you to those out there doing the mahi, keeping our communities safe. Some of our communities have experienced intense winds like never before, and I'd like to extend my thoughts to those that have been personally affected by the severe weather that we've experienced. By 3 p.m. today, our Fire Communications Centre had received 261 call-outs for help across the region, which included fires, motor vehicle crashes, fallen trees and power lines, medical events and many other weather-related incidents. Across the country, we've received over 1,000 calls. I'd like to take this opportunity to acknowledge and thank our hard-working call takers and dispatchers who have been non-stop all day getting our responders to the incidents. Like our emergency services partners, Fire and Emergency New Zealand planned and prepared for this event, as Minister Mitchell explained. This proactive preparation and extra resourcing has paid off, and we pre-positioned our firefighters and our commanders across the region, and as a result we've been able to respond swiftly to events when they have occurred. It hasn't come without its challenges, however, as our response efforts to a wildfire in Hanmer Springs was severely hampered by numerous road closures due to fallen trees. We have worked really well with that community and the New Zealand Police to swiftly evacuate residents threatened by that fire. And we continue to work on our efforts to extinguish it. We've also worked alongside Main Power in Kaikoura, who have proactively isolated power in an area north of Hapuka. This precautionary action aims to reduce the risk of fire in heavily forested areas where fallen trees could potentially strike power lines and ignite those fires. I again urge the public to remain vigilant as we are not out of the woods yet. Elevated fire danger levels remain and will continue to do so until later this evening. Again, a reminder that a total prohibition on outdoor fires and fireworks remain in place until 8 a.m. Monday 27th of October. Once again, the efforts of everyone here working together in our Emergency Coordination Centre has meant our response has been joined up and effective, and I thank you to those involved in this great response. Ngā mihi nui.
Thank you, Brad.
Good afternoon. Like Brad, I'd also like to acknowledge our combined emergency services staff. They were out in some very challenging conditions today and put themselves in harm's way with the intent about keeping our communities safe, and they've done an outstanding job. I'm very, very proud of the efforts of what they've done today. This is not over yet, and we've still got a lot of work to do. I want to assure those communities that are without power tonight that we have planned for that, we have additional resources on, and that we will be out and patrolling those areas to make sure that they are safe tonight. We'll also be turning our attention to those areas where there are road closures and making sure that no one will be unnecessarily entering those areas as well. I want to reiterate James's comments about essential travel. We've still got a way to go on this, so if you do not need to travel somewhere, then please don't. If you've made plans to travel tomorrow to holiday destinations, please check first before you hit the road to make sure those locations are open to you. There's a lot of work that needs to be done to get some of those roads open and to get power back into those areas. It's important that we get emergency services and the other services that provide that access to those areas to do that work. Again, I just want to thank everyone for their patience today. We saw some great cooperation from our communities today,
Our staff have had high levels of demand as well. We've had over 100 weather-related jobs just to police that have come in today. We've had more than enough resource to be able to respond to those and our BAU. So our pre-planning this has paid dividends for us, and I thank everyone involved in that. Thank you.
So thanks, Aaron. Tomorrow we will still remain active with our ECC, but we'll review the state of emergency with our partner agencies and with the Minister. Hopefully we can remove it, but we won't be removing it yet. Any questions for any of us?
This may be best directed to the Minister, but whoever's in a place to answer it.
Yeah.
Some of the most damaging impacts have been seen further south than even in the Culverden. Can you just fill us in on what we've been briefed on about what's happening elsewhere around the country?
Yes, I mean, yes, the wind arrived in Southland and Invercargill, so the briefing and information that I've had, and Tony and Brad can extend on this, is that Invercargill feel capable that they can handle what's currently happening down there. Police and FENS both feel like they've got the resources and the capability to be able to deal with those high winds at the moment, but of course they're vigilant, and that can change, and if it does, then of course we're on standby to respond to that. But gents, did you want to add anything more to that?
I've been in communication with my counterpart from Southern District today, and he has conveyed to me that just similar to us, that they're pre-planning and has got them into a position that they're equally like us in control of the situation.
Minister, is it likely any other regions will go into a state of emergency as well?
Yeah, at this stage, no. There's no indication that that will happen at this stage. Yeah.
Can you just talk us through a little bit what is the latest on the fires, particularly the one in Hanmer?
Yeah, sure. Hanmer has been a challenging one. As I've said, we have been able to get a helicopter in the air to do a reconnaissance flight. And fortunately, we had a little bit of rain in the area as well, so that helped us, bit of Mother Nature giving us a hand there. So we feel like it's contained. We still have a bit of work to do to extinguish that fire. In Kaikoura, we still have concerns around the fires that have been burning for a few days. We've had a flare up at one of them, so we need to remain vigilant in that space there. And we've also had another one developing in Waiau, so we've got crews working on that one as well. So, as I said, we're not out of the woods yet. This is a challenging part of the day where we've got high winds, low humidity, and it's quite hot out there as well. So our firefighters continue to respond and work with our partner agencies to bring those under control.
Just to fire off a link, obviously there were a number of burn-ups that were reported overnight. We have reports of fireworks as well. Are you looking at potentially prosecuting people who continue with that behaviour heading into the long weekend?
Yeah, look, from our perspective, as I said yesterday, we have put a prohibition in place, and that goes through till Monday the 27th. So we'll work with the New Zealand Police on any investigations, and if we find that these fires have been lit recklessly, then we'll look at our ability to prosecute. But maybe Tony would like to talk about that as well.
Yeah, clearly if we've got fires that have gone on and caused significant damage because people have ignored those orders, then we work closely with FENS. We will have an investigation and we'll consider prosecution as a result of that. And our clear message is that please, if you do not need to take any of this sort of action, then please stay away from that. Prohibition order is there for a very good reason, and that's to keep our communities safe.
Just in relation to the weather, where are the worst affected areas, and what type of damage are you seeing out there?
Yeah, sure. So the worst affected area is the Culverden area in Huruni District, as well as some damage in Hanmer. In Culverden and that the surrounding farming area, a lot of centre pivots have been blown over and a lot of farm-related buildings have been damaged. We know roofing irons come off, dairy sheds, carving sheds. I understand that a hazelnut storage area was damaged, and we'll start working with Hurunui Council tomorrow to assess those properties as to the extent of their damage. I have had reports and seen photos of one damaged house in that same area, a residential house where a tree has come down in it. And then all along State Highway 7, from sort of Waipara up to Hanmer. There's tree debris and power lines all over that road, and also debris on State Highway 1 around Kaikoura.
Do you have any welfare concerns for people?
Not at the moment, as people have been either finding their own places to be cared for, and in the Hanmer area there's a good civil defence team that have been able to either accommodate people or get them into motels, hotels if necessary.
Has anyone been injured?
I don't understand. None that I've been reported on. Yeah, and it was one of the questions that I had to all of our councils today. Please do let me know if any injuries or deaths had occurred, and none have been reported.
And how many roads are out around the region?
In particular, it's the 2 state highways, so state highway, or 3 state highways, so Arthur's Pass, Lewis Pass and State Highway 1 around that Kaikoura area. I don't know about local roads, but there will be some local roads that are out as well.
Minister Mitchell, have you had any discussions with your cabinet colleagues about the need for or desire to deploy the military to help with the clean-up and recovery phase of it?
Defence were on standby, so they have been involved in briefings, they've been participating in those, and they have had LO and a liaison officer ready to be deployed here should it be needed, and at this stage we haven't required that, but they are on standby. And quite simply, my approach is that central government will use any resource they have available to us to make sure that we surge support in and get things done quickly. And of course Defence Forces are extremely effective, and they have supported the last 2 local states of emergency that I've been at. They have been there to support the response.
And what about the likes of a Merrill Relief Fund, and how would those be stood up while we're still waiting for these to be sworn in?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So I think that there's work going on at the moment in terms of getting the mayor sworn in, but I do have a Merrill Relief Fund there, and if I get a request and we respond to that, if we see an immediate need to provide immediate relief to communities, then that's what I use that fund for. I haven't had any requests at this time, nor have we identified now in the initial stages in terms of whether I need to do that, but if that emerges, then of course we'll respond to it.
A similar question on rural support trusts. Any requests for funding or planning to release funding to rural support trusts?
Rural support trusts. So again, we haven't had any requests on that, but it's something as we get the requests, we'll work through them. Yeah.
Do you have an estimated timeline when power and areas where power is down will be restored?
No, that's a good question, James.
Main power indicating to us and Orion indicating to us that a lot of power should be back on tonight, but it won't be. It'll sort of be the main lines, not all the side lines. Some of those side lines could take up to a week, maybe longer. Yeah.
Do we know how many properties are without power currently?
Sorry, I don't have that complete number. I think at the peak we had around about 5,000 homes, properties without power at the peak, but it will be less than that now.
When you say 5,000, you mean locally?
Properties across the Canterbury region.
Yeah, it's Canterbury. Yeah. So there's definitely been power outages in the North Island as well, particularly the lower North Island. But yes, that is a rolling wall in terms of that number as the power companies bring power back on.
We did have power outages as far as Timaru and in South Canterbury. They were restored pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Do we know when any of the state highways are going to be reopened?
No. As I said before, they'll be opened when NZTA make them safe. Lots of trees to be cleared and lots of power lines to be cleared, particularly on State Highway 7.
Okay, no more questions. I wonder if I just wrap it up by just quickly reminding everyone, thank you, all of you, for being here, because you have an important role in terms of getting communication out there to communities, and they like to know what's going on. Can I just reiterate, first of all, can I thank communities, because there's been a high level of compliance and common sense applied to the response and the support to our first responders, but a constant reminder, talking about fires, if there's a fire ban on, don't light fires. When you get fire and wind, then you put the community at danger. And by the way, our FENS and our firefighters are out there at the moment dealing with multiple fire grounds and getting on top of that. So those messages are put out there for a reason. It is for community safety, and is to allow our first responders, whether it be police, Fens or St John's to get on and do the work that they need to do. Again, a final acknowledgement. Thank you, Tony, Brad and James and your teams for the outstanding work that you're doing in keeping our communities safe. And thanks for being here, everyone. Appreciate it.